Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit Sun conjunct one's natal Mercury. Now, we're talking about transits involving the Sun. This is about our focus, attention, our concentration of energy. Now, when you have the transit Sun making a conjunction to your natal Mercury, the planet of communication, of course, this could be very strong focus, attention, and concentration of energy on communications in your life. It could be, if it's in Scorpio, for example, it could be on astrological, occult, supernatural communications, ones that are very deep and provocative, very probing. It's also about focusing your attention and being driven toward assimilating information. You may feel inquiring more than usual, being more inquisitive than usual, even if you're somebody that is not a person that asks a lot of an overabundance of questions. This could be a time where you might actually surprise people, and you might start asking more questions than usual. You might even be seen as being a little bit nosy to others, which would be a surprise to people. If you're somebody that's generally very taciturn, very quiet, or reticent person that generally doesn't really talk much, and if you're a person that's not overly loquacious, you're probably not asking a lot of questions to others. Um, in any way, another thing, this is also the focus in some cases on the rational thinking and really, focusing your attention on making rational choices. If there have been some irrational decisions and choices that were made that you felt like you didn't think things through, this could be the time to do it. Say if your natal Mercury is in Capricorn, this is where you might emphasize really a lot more disciplined thinking, even more so than usual during the time of this transit. Remember that Mercury is a lot more than just about our communications and assimilating information. It also governs siblings, cousins, and neighbors. So if you're having this transit, this could be a time where these people may dominate your life scheme a little bit more so than usual. Remember, the Sun is also about dominance. It's about our focus, attention, and what we're concentrating on at a certain point. But at the same time, it's also connected with siblings, with cousins, and neighbors at this time, and they may be more of a focal point for you, more so than usual at this time. And remember, it's also Mercury is connected with local transportation as well, so you might find yourself running more errands and doing things, going to stores, more short journeys, more so than usual. You might find yourself having your hands full, going to different places, going to one place after another in your community at this time, at least more so than usual when you have this transit. And as far as anatomically, Mercury is associated with the hands, the arms, and also it's also eyesight as well. And the thing about this is, if you have this transit hitting you in some isolated cases, especially say if you have this in your first or sixth house in your natal chart, because the first house is associated with the physical body. The sixth house does govern physical related issues in astrology. There might be something where it might shine the light, so to speak, on some issues with the hands or with the arms at this time. If you have like a transit as well, like say you have Pluto hitting your Mercury as well, or if it's an adverse aspect to your natal Mercury, it might be something that might be of a surgical matter at this time as well. So and also Mercury is associated with the nerves as well, and this could be time when it could shine the light, so to speak, on a Mercury related issue. So anyway, now, another thing too is that Mercury in astrology is also associated with our early education. It could be somebody maybe the spotlight, so to speak, is put on somebody that you knew from your early education. It could be maybe drawing that information that you learned during that time. And also too, this could be a time where you might be put in the spotlight and gain some kind of attention for some kind of literary ability or achievement, whether it's writing a short story or a book, or it might be an online blog at this time. Say if you have this in Aquarius, it might reinforce something that online that you might have put out there, and it might be something where you might be getting maybe some unexpected notoriety and recognition for it. It also could be a transit that could be very auspicious for memory retention at this time. People that have this placement natally, I see them as people that have often very good memories. I have this placement natally in the zodiac sign Cancer, and Cancer can have a very retentive mind. Mercury in Cancer by itself can have it can have maybe somewhat methodical learning process, but it's also very retentive, and what is learned generally stays there for life. And I would say that pretty much describes me in my as far as my thinking out thinking process goes. But anyway, and the thing about it is, this is also a time too where you're going to be less oblivious to things. You're going to be able to observe more what is what is out there. Could be a very good time for editing or proofreading some kind of writing at this time, because the sun is about our eye. I mean, the sun rules either the left or the right eye depending on gender, and Mercury of course is associated with communication, and it covers all communication, whether it's written or what have you. It could be a very good time for discerning things, especially if you have this, like say in Virgo, the sign of editing and proofreading. It could be a time where you could really scrutinize and point out those possible mistakes that you may have made in writing, or if you have a job or position as some editor or proofreader, this could be a very good period for you. So anyway, now another thing is, this could be a time to remember that the sun is associated with the biological father and children. So it could be a time where one or both these people might actually come into contact with you, and communications and messaging with these people may be more prevalent than usual. And also, I'm being flippant of this when I say this. Maybe this is a time too for solar power, which is the sun maybe can better chance of powering your car, which Mercury of course is associated with local transportation. It actually could be perhaps a more auspicious time for that than usual, because the sun is associated with solar power. Of course, Mercury is associated with things with local transportation, which would include vehicles, of course, which involves vehicles. Now, another thing too, now your life, the life that you live, the sun is about life. So at this time, your own life may dominate your thoughts more so than usual at this time. It might seem like things might be a little bit egocentric, but that is how I see this transit panning out. But it's also, again, going back to Mercury being associated with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. Those people may dominate as well at this during this short transit. Now, another thing too, that this could also be a time where talking may actually take more precedence over hearing and listening to others as well. There might be a strong desire to express yourself verbally and through writing, through your communications in general, and also ability to concentrate on things that are associated with hands, things that require dexterity, and it could even be mechanical skill. Could be doing something like with auto mechanics or refrigeration mechanics at this time. Now, I'm going to talk about an interesting example. On, I believe it was November 23rd, 2014, NFL superstar Odell Beckham Jr. made a phenomenal, I would say nearly miraculous reception. And at this time, he had the transit sun, which may have been about 5 degrees away from his natal Mercury, which would be a very loose conjunction, but still 5 degrees away. I don't think we could say irrebuttably that transits don't feel any vibration when they're 5 degrees away from, when a transiting planet is 5 degrees away from the planet it's hitting natally. But anyway, I thought it was interesting because, again, the transit sun was not far from his natal Mercury at this time. And at this time, he was put in the spotlight for something he did that required dexterity. The transit sun was in Sagittarius, Mercury was in Sagittarius. He was put in the spotlight, something sports related that required dexterity. Spotlight could be the sun. Then you have, Mercury, of course, is the hands. Sagittarius rules sports. Very interesting, and some people to this day may think that was the greatest reception in NFL history. Now, another thing too, this could also manifest in taking action with Mercury-related people, such again as siblings, cousins, neighbors. It could be things involving short journeys. If it's something that you may have procrastinated on or showed some hesitation previously, this could be the time where you actually are taking action. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, this is also something too, looking at this, could also manifest in very creative ideas at this time. The sun could be about our creative energy, and Mercury is about our thinking, which can also include ideas. Now, say if this is taking place in Capricorn, it could be finding business solutions. If you have the Saint in Scorpio in the 4th house, it could be in a situation that might involve some kind of locksmithing where maybe you improvise and you create your own lock, like using a clamp on the inside of a door if you don't have an actual lock. And really, whether this energy is flowing or whether there's some difficulty at this time with it, a lot of that could be predicated and dependent on aspects that makes the points in your chart. Say a sextile trine your natal Jupiter, it can be very auspicious, and a lot of these things that I described can go really with a lot of ease. But if you have, say if it makes an adverse aspect to your natal Saturn, there might be some more restrictions with this, and it might require more of a laborious effort to do some of these things. It doesn't mean they couldn't happen, such as gaining some kind of notoriety or attention and recognition for literary achievements, but the process might be a little bit, more arduous and might require more effort than usual. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.